Now, this is something that has been going around in the country because the first time in the history of our tax that we have introduced a capital gains tax inside the Income Tax Act. And everyone was wondering how it's going to be done. And so introducing a concept called disposal of capital assets inside the definition of income, they have now got a lot of us covered by this act, including assets that you hold outside Malaysia and assets that you hold in Malaysia. Obviously, assets are dear to everybody, so we are going to wonder what's it all about? How am I covered? How do I avoid if there's any, if it's possible, if it is possible. So why should business owners should be interested in this GST seminar? Because very interestingly, the capital asset that is affected is shares in a private company. So this country, you may have 1,200 public listed companies which are exempted, but you have 100, 200,000 private companies. So the owners of private companies will be interested. How am I affected? So if I sell my investment assets, capital assets in my business, which refers to this movable, immovable properties that I have in my company, or my limited liability partnership, or my unit trust, or my cooperative society, then any disposal of shares in these four entities will become taxable. So it affects 400, 500,000 people, companies, business owners. So it is they who have to be interested. Am I inside this, and how should I be able to avoid any taxation if they can? Then the question you would know is, why is it important for professionals like lawyers and accountants and financial planners and advisors and even agents who advise people on financial health and wealth? Should they be know this? See, I think we all know knowledge is information applied. And so you have to have this information, understand it before it can be applied. So we know that to be walking on a very sure-footed path requires you to understand this new law. Whether it will be well implemented or not is another issue. Now, for example, these four entities are major. We don't have statistics on what is the GDP proportion of these just for these entities: companies, limited liability partnerships, trust bodies, and cooperative societies. How much of the GDP does these four entities have a hold in Malaysia? And therefore, you are subject to world income, remittance on a world income basis. So these four entities will be very concerned. I have investments in shares, especially a unit trust company has investment in shares around the world. So the question now becomes, how will I be affected, and how do I avoid, or can I avoid, or is the tax very punitive, like 10% of chargeable gain? Is it too big, or should I be business as normal? So these are important questions that all of these people, and I think you would ask, why would I attend this when there are a lot of accounting firms providing? Yes, agreed. The accounting firms have done a good job. The question now is to understand these laws from the perspective of an old timer. I've been in income tax from 1976 till now, and I was struggling to understand this new finance bill. The parliament has passed it, but it took me weeks to understand, to put the corners right, to put the sides right. So now I have a very good understanding what's intended here. So private company owners, limited liability partnership owners, cooperative society, and trust bodies, they can have all these accounting firms, very good, but it will pay to have as much perspective and understanding as possible. So for a small little price, for a short one morning, okay, a long morning nevertheless, you will have a greater understanding what is involved in this act and what you can do to safeguard yourself or prepare yourself. That's what I like to say to you.